be looking at Bavaria. Bavaria, my friends, what a wonderful, wonderful central position this holds sort of within Europe, particularly Western Europe here. A city-state, but it does have some really wonderful, wonderful potential available to it, especially when you consider the surrounding sort of nations around you. But also it has some pretty large disadvantages of where it is as well. But we'll explore that a bit later. But let's have a look at first of all at where you start. Let's have a look at the sort of the geographical position of the sort of the region, of the sort of the state as it is, and then we can sort of explore further tactical, strategic sort of advantages, where you might be able to look to expand, whom your potential enemies are, who your friends are going to be. We're going to have a look at the whole gambit here of everything available to Bavaria. And I've got to be honest, I have never played Bavaria before, so I'm actually coming to this as someone who has never played it, but I'm just going to simply give my own sort of a view, my own opinion of what I would do if I was going to play Bavaria. In no ways do I mean that this is the only way to play, or this is the way you should play. This is just my own personal sort of spin on where what I would do if I was going to play. And of course, there are probably many of you out there who've played this Bavaria a number of times. As always, my friends, please get your comments down below there. Let's get those comments really firing up here, so we can sort of build up a picture of these sort of smaller states and how you actually can play them, because they are very, very difficult to manage, particularly when you're sort of in the middle of this sort of, the European melting pot, as it were, that really does spark into life quite early on, especially when you're looking at sort of regions and powers that are looking to expand very, very quickly. And if you're in direct firing line of those particular sort of behemoths, as it were, it can really be difficult for you. So it's really, really important you get that diplomatic, sort of war machine, as it were, that fine balance between the two really going very well. So let's have a closer look at Bavaria, what you start with and what you don't start with. So as you can see here, already a pretty large city itself, and you've got some really, really fantastic sort of economic. You've also luckily start with a school as well here in Coburg. You've got a craft workshop in Nuremberg, and also you've got a Franconia mines here, the iron mines, only low yield, but it's still good for the income here as well. And of course you've got sort of a two-way system here, one running from Austria. As you can see, you've already got a direct link to Austria, which is absolutely fantastic. There's trade immediately coming in straight away with one of your closest allies, and a powerful ally at that as well. As you can see, Austria is quite well established here, right away into Silesia here, into Prague, and indeed then all the way down to Croatia. It does have quite a good expanse already of territory, and it's already quite well dug in here as well. So already you've got this sort of central part of your sort of eastern flank already covered by an ally as well. So it's absolutely fantastic to see, and a very powerful ally, like a mega yield gold mine, but it's still a minefield. There's excellent gold coming in there, and they've also got iron minefield here as well. But you also then on your sort of your western flank, you've got Stuttgart here, Württemberg, again another independent city-state. And then close by that is France, of course. Then you've got Rhineland, Westphalia, which of course is another city-state, and again Hanover here. So you've got all the smaller sort of city-states, the single city-states here on your sort of west and northern flanks, as it were, into the west. Stuttgart and Westphalia, Württemberg. Then you've got sort of Cologne and Westphalia up here in sort of the north, in sort of northwest, and then in the north here you've got Hanover, and of course you've got the Dutch. You've got the Spanish here in Brussels, and of course you've got the might of France right over here in the far west here. So you do have quite a melting pot, quite a mix here of different sort of powers, all vying for different things. But ultimately, we've got to focus on what you can do here with Bavaria. So as you can see here, we've already got a school which is excellent for technology. We really want to get your technology absolutely going as quickly as you can. My personal preference is to go for military technology as quickly as you possibly can to get up to military syllabus. Military syllabus really will enable you to open up your military recruitment quite extensively here. Of course, you can get barracks anyway without any technological advancement, but ultimately looking to get drill school, and we'll go into that a little bit deeper later, why you can get well drill school is so important. But personally, I would go for military, and then I would probably look to sort of move into sort of the metal industry, textile industry, because of course we've got none of those. The only one we can upgrade here is this craft workshop here. As you can see, iron workshop. Once you get an iron workshop, if we just iron workshop, it'll open up this particular sort of branch of technology and research here, which is basic steam pump, coke blast furnace, and then measuring tools. Measuring tools, of course, gives you metal rods. Coke blast furnace opens up the sort of the furnaces to be able to really ramp up that production within the craft workshop. And basic steam pump again is useful for many things, mostly to your mine. So these things are actually linked. If you upgrade this, you'll eventually be able to upgrade your mine, which will give you more income. So the things are interlocked, they're interchangeable. And that really will give you a huge boost. You don't have any farms, we don't have any textile industry at all, which is a bit of a shame, but there is potential to get both later on, but we'll examine that later as well. And of course, we can of course get philosophy, because you don't need any sort of standing sort of buildings to be able to do that. That is merely sort of the intellectual side of the research. But it does give you quite a lot. Personally, I would go for physocracy straight away, because it gives you a huge bonus to trade, and also town wealth, and also the wealth generated farms, which you don't have at the moment. But it's good to have that in place when you do eventually get some farms. There's of course the social contract here, which increases your technology rate research, which is good, and also minus 15% to building repair costs, which is also good, but really not really that effective quite yet. And then of course we've got empiricism here, and again increased research rate, and minus 10% research time for all technologies. Again, that would be an excellent one to get. Personally, I would go for this, for the wealth it gives you, and also the ability to sort of, get these plantations, which we don't have yet. But remember, preparation is key. If you can get that preparation, if you get the technology in place, when these things become available to you, then you've already got the technology in place to be able to take advantage of them. And of course, empiricism here, of course, is going to give you quite the advantage in terms of research. Is also going to enable you to build a college, which really will be absolutely crucial to really keep your technology boosted quite well there. So again, you've got some good from Iron Workshop. You've got 900 to the regional wealth, plus 8 per turn to town wealth. So again, you're increasing your town wealth exponentially, and obviously bring it back into the sort of into the black, as it were. And then we've got the iron minefield here, which again is 875. But again, if we upgrade this, it'll eventually just allow us to get the technology to get the basic steam pump, which then allow us to get an extra 1,000 wealth to the region here. Minus 1 happiness to lower classes, but that's to be expected because of industrialization. And of course, we've got the school here, which we can upgrade once we've got empiricism here. So that's going to be absolutely fantastic. Expensive though, very expensive. And of course, let's have a deeper look now at Munich itself here. Let's have a look at the sort of the capital here, Munich, a real central, real hub here of pretty much all of Europe. It really is the absolute sort of key cornerstone of sort of Central Europe is Munich. So you start off with an army encampment, a cannon foundry, a governor's palace already. That's a good expansion to already have, or a good institution to already have. Then of course you've got a conservatorium, which you can upgrade to opera house, and then of course you've got your sort of settlement fortifications. Let's have a look at recruitment. Oh, look at that, Prushneck horse. Now please remember also that I do have the additional units mod enabled for this particular campaign. So if you see some units here that might not be in the sort of vanilla version of Darth Mod, that is the reason why I would definitely recommend getting the AUM. I'll put a link in the description where you can get the additional units mod. It's very easy to put on. I've also got the mod manager, which you can download, which basically sort of manages, and you can just click on, you just press tick a box, and it adds the mod to the game without you having to put a script in or do anything special to it. It really is a fantastic thing. So I'll put both of those in the description. But as you can see, you start off with some horse already, mercenaries, cavalry, Prushneck horse. You've demi cannons are always standard, and also as Seekers. Of course, you've got the Landwehr militia. Look at that, absolutely wonderful. Look at that, that's absolutely fantastic. Accuracy is 34, pretty good actually for militia. As you can see, the standard militia is 25. The Landwehr militia is actually part of the AUM mod, so that's why you've got that there. But that is an excellent militia to have. It really is fantastic, but it does cost you a little bit of money here. 604 is not cheap by any means. And as you can see, the difference already between the standard militia and that provided by the additional mod here. And the good cavalry as well, good charge bonus, good defense as well, excellent to see. And of course, you've got your standard sort of cannon to build, which always comes with any campaign. Infrastructure, again, you haven't got cobble roads, so I definitely recommend getting cobble roads up as quickly as you can, both for movement and speed of movement along your sort of region and into other regions, but also for improved sort of town wealth, because it does give you +4. Your army you start with is a general, of course, and you've got a demi-cannon and 2 militia. You don't have any pikemen here, as you can see. Very, very small sort of standing army you've got here. You know, quite a large sort of town army here, a sort of town-centric army here. If you can see the grey there, that is sort of your militia, your town militia, sort of guarding the city. They're called upon when called into battle here. And of course, then you've got a gentleman whom you know pretty much immediately need to put straight into the school here. And as you can see, that will increase your research or reduce the research here. Let's have a look at what that does. Yes, it does, from 4 to 3. So you've actually reduced your research time by 1 here. By 1 year, which is absolutely fantastic. Remember, every single bit helps with such a small region as this. It really does. And of course, you can upgrade this going to Iron Workshop. But remember, your money is 7,500. Not a tremendous amount at all for such a small nation. So you really have to sort of divide your money up very, very carefully. Remember, try and find that fine balance, that equilibrium between military and economy is really, really important. You do that. And actually, talking of economy, let's have a look at what we've actually got coming in here. So as you can see, pretty meagre at the moment. We're respected on the prestige rank. Catholicism, absolute monarchy, which is absolutely fantastic. Maximilian II is our monarch, and again, pretty standard. 0% diplomatic relations and 0% prestige, which is, at least it's not in the minus, which can be a real menace. Now our allies are Spain and Austria, 2 really, really powerful nations are our allies. That's gonna really sort of, you know, wear off any potential enemies here in terms of who might strike against us, because if you've got Spain and Austria on your side, you know, you're going to take another look at attacking us, because we've got 2 very, very powerful allies. But that doesn't mean you should be prepared for somebody to take that sort of leap and try and remove you, because you know that Austria will probably step in to help you, but they'll have their own issues with Prussia, with Poland, you know, with potentially the Ottomans as well. So they might not come in to help you straight away. Spain is very far off, so the chance of Spain actually helping you out militarily is pretty non-existent to start with, until you sort of expand nearer to Spain. Then they'll probably come and help you. Of course, you're at war with the Barbary states and also pirates, which is standard for every nation. Tax income is pretty small at the moment, 968, not even 1,000 yet. Trade income is only 969. Other is 1650, which is probably the thing that's keeping you afloat. As you can see here, we do have a good income here. That's because the army is not massive, and also you've got no navy, so that's not going to, until you get a port, because you are landlocked, so you're not going to have a navy to sort of, you know, soak up any money in that time from navy upkeep. So that's not going to be a worry for us for any time in the future. And town watch is pretty minimal as well. So we've got a pretty healthy income to start with, but as soon as you start expanding that army, this is going to shrink pretty sizably, because the army is expensive. It is not going to be cheap to keep that army in, so that's absolutely vital you get trade up running. So look at the policies we got here. Of course, standard tax right in the middle here, but again, if you want things to grow, you know, wealth-wise, you're going to have to lower the taxes for the nobility, the lower classes. If you want growth in terms of population, you're going to have to lower the taxes for the lower classes. That's going to hurt you eventually, but it will pay dividends in the long run, and that is only because of the advice. I know that only because of the wonderful advice I get from so many people about the economy, amongst other things. But you know, I've had such wonderful advice of the economy. That's how I've learned about that, is for other people in the comments telling me, you know, how I should do it, and it's worked absolutely perfectly. It really has. Then our ministers. Now, of course, we know about the king. You've got the head here, which is actually +8 to diplomatic relations. Is a really good, solid first lord here. The head, sort of your prime minister, as it were. That's a real good diplomatic relation. That's going to help you a lot in negotiations. You've got the treasury, which is absolutely not going to work here. He doesn't give any bonuses at all. So you want to be looking to replace him straight away. And because you're an absolute monarchy, you can merely grab one of the other sort of candidates and move them into position. But first of all, we'll have a look at the candidates in greater detail. And of course, you've got justice here, good justice minister, so that's going to bring in some good repression, also reduce the cost of the town watch. The army, again, look at that, a terrible. That's why the army upkeep is going to soar, because we don't have any reduction in recruitment costs. no reduction at all in the military research rate, and no sort of a reduction in the upkeep costs either. So that's going to hurt us in the long run unless we change that, Lord Secretary of War. And the Navy, again, we've got a better naval secretary than we do an actual Secretary of War. Why we've got naval, I don't know, because we don't have any navy. We're not going to have a navy for a long time. Let's have a look at the candidates here. We've got Bonvoyant here, +1 to management, +1 to lower classes management. That actually might be pretty good, mind you. That's going to, yeah, -3 clamour for reform. Sigmund Vane, no. Look at that. +1 for me, not really what we're going to need there at all. Leopold, Industrial Revolution, well, that's pretty good actually. And what about Philipp Hahn? There, that's the one. This is the gentleman you want. Philipp Hahn here, tactician. So he's immediately going to be a huge boon here. We're going to move him in there, and look at that straight away. -4, -4 to upkeep cost, -4 to recruitment, +4 to research tech. And straight away, look at the huge effect that's going to have. That's going to bring down your costs, increase your research rate for military research, and it's going to be an absolute boon. That minister is going to turn things around for us in a big way. And the treasury, we can change the treasury, Industrial Revolution and Bonvoyant. So we definitely want to use Leopold Taubert. We should put him in treasury, and look at that straight away. What an effect! +2 global tax income, +4 to growth, +4 to town wealth. Absolutely fantastic. We should see the difference possibly now once the next turn comes along. That will absolutely show here once the next turn comes in. But we've already made a substantial change to our cabinet for the better. And of course trade, then we know that we've got trade here in Europe just with Austria, a land trade as well, over land, 696. That will eventually increase, but again we just need to look to expand. And talking of diplomacy, let's have a look here at Württemberg. Is very friendly, so immediately we can probably get a trade agreement with Württemberg. Yes, indeed, look at that. Immediately he's going to help us. And possibly with Westphalia, as you can see here. The smaller nations should really try and stick this. If we can get one with Westphalia. No, they don't want that at all, which is absolutely fine. What about Saxony? They're indifferent. But will Saxony step up? Oh, a military alliance. No, what, we will take that there. No, they're not interested. But that is something for you to sort of decide yourselves, my friends, if you wanted to be able to take that sort of offer there. 2,400 military alliance, military access, and a trade agreement. Now, you know, is that something you really want to take to someone who's weak and meagre? Because you want to look at the position of Saxony. Saxony is here. You've got Prussia here, you've got Austria here. The chances are Saxony is going to be swamped pretty soon by one of these, or both, because Saxony will probably change hands pretty rapidly. So you probably want to try and keep yourself away from that military alliance. You get drawn into a war immediately. Probably not ideal. And already, look at that, we've already got trade going between ourselves here, Bavaria and Württemberg, which is fantastic, and also in Austria. And we're going to see quite a lot now. Let's have a look at the difference that makes to our income. Look at that, 3,259 already. Look at that tax income. And look at that trade, absolutely fantastic. And the trade's only going to grow, because the longer you're trading with somebody, the more you get a bonus every time the longer you trade with somebody. So it's absolutely a fantastic start straight away. And of course here you've got Venice, and we've got Spain. Actually Spain is only across a quick hop and a skip across the border here in Austria. So that's actually not too bad at all. It's really good to see. Of course we've got our spy here, we've got our rake. Now, probably ideally what we're going to want to keep an eye on with your rake, with your spy, is what's going to be going on here with Austria and Prussia. Because if Austria collapses, you've lost an ally. But if Prussia collapses and is taken over by Austria, you've suddenly got all of the sort of the east here covered from any potential aggression from Poland or anybody else, or potentially even Russia in the future. If Austria is going to expand and becomes quite the dominant force, you've got a really powerful ally. You want to try and keep an eye on what's been going on here. So I would definitely suggest moving your spy so you can keep an eye on what goes on here. Remember, what goes on outside your borders is equally as important as what happens inside it. It really is vital to keep an eye on that as well. So we've looked at the research, but let's have a quick look now at what we can get militarily in terms of units. Now remember, some of these units you'll see in here will not be part of vanilla, or only be part of vanilla Darth Mod. Some of these units here you will see because of the additional units mods. So it's really important, my friends, that some of these, and I'll point out which ones are which. So barracks, of course, are going to give us line infantry, which is absolutely crucial. Barracks are really, really important here. It's also going to give us ring bayonet technology, square formation, and also military syllabus. Again, very, very important here. So we've got Landwehr, we've got possibility, we've got machine rifling to get the failed Jaeger. But again, machine rifling is all the way down here, the absolute furthest point you can get. So that this regiment is going to be a long way off before you get that. Then next down is drill school. But look at this. Look at what this opens up. Your company infantry, company cavalry. It also opens up the possibility of getting lance guards, fusiliers. So these here, all of these here are part of all of these. This one, all these units here. These units here are all part of the AUM. This Jaegers, and also, oh, look at that. That's a wonderful regiment there. These are sort of standard Darth Mod regiments, but they're fantastic. Oh my goodness me, look at this. Colonial Light Infantry, they are standard Darth Mod. Standard Darth Mod, standard Darth Mod. Line Infantry Guards are AUM. Caesarian Horse Grenadiers, these are AUM mod. This is a Darth Mod, and that is AUM. So as you can see, look at the units you can get here. Absolutely phenomenal. Oh my goodness me. Buccaneers are AUM. Mountain Troops AUM. Line Infantry, of course, is standard. Colonial Light Infantry is standard. Horse Grenadier Guards are AUM. The Pushnik Horse, I believe, are standard. Then you've got Blunderbuss Shotgunners, definitely AUM, and Grenadier Guards AUM. Colonial Line Infantry standard. Sepoys standard. Engineers AUM. Frise Corps Line Infantry, believe that is AUM, and Highlander Warband is definitely AUM. And again here, oh my goodness me, look at that. Free Corps Cavalry is standard. AUM. Oh my goodness me, look at that. That is an absolute joy to see. That is AUM, and also the Scottish Line Infantry, definitely AUM. So you can see you get some fantastic units, even from just this third technology sort of build, as it were, drill school. As you go further down the technological tree, you really open up to a significant Grenzers here. That's AUM. Sharpshooters AUM, but they are phenomenal. Look at that accuracy, 71. They pretty much hardly ever miss. Grenzers again, 55 accuracy. Look at that. Reloading skill is 14, not brilliant. 13 year reloading skill here. Then we've got Cuirassiers, which are standard. Then we've got Cuirassiers Reg Taxis, which is, I believe, AUM. The majority of all these are AUM, but look at all the troops that are opened up to you. It's absolutely staggering. Look at them. It's absolutely dozens of them. So you've got a wonderful selection. You really have. The Chevaliers here are AUM, I believe. No, I beg your pardon, they're standard. And then we have, even further down the army board, you're going to get Cuirassiers, which again, most of these are standard AUM. We've already gone through them. But look at the sheer number you can get of different units here once you start to expand. It is breathtaking. It really is. Look at this. So it's absolutely fantastic. Line Infantry Guards, wonderful to see. And then ultimately you've got the Army Staff College, which is the pinnacle of military research and recruitment. And again, you look at the expansion here. It just goes through the roof. Lancers here, wonderful. Most of them then have got the chevron of experience, which is great to see. But look at that, even Republican Guard. Look at that Grenadier Guard, which is the elite unit here. But absolutely wonderful units you can get here. So again, a lot. Look at that Liebe Regiment. So you can really expand the sort of the units here, the military side of Munich, quite exponentially. You really can if you do well with this. And again, standard sort of things. It depends when you prioritize. Personally, I would prioritize army encampment, and probably looking at to get the Governor's Palace, Royal Palace, because that's going to give you +4 to repression. But that bonus to income is going to be crucial to you in the long run, believe me. And also, getting your infrastructure up is going to be important. Expanding your army so that it can hold its own against its rivals. So now we sort of looked at the basics here, where what you get, who you can sort of diplomatically, who you can sort of negotiate with, who your enemies, who your allies are, where the potential. So look at the potential threats, but also potential where expansion can come. So as you can see here now, you can already see that you can expand quite a number of ways. You can either go to the the sort of the west here. It's Württemberg, but again, you're at peace with Württemberg. But again, if you can get into sort of the smaller ones, have a look at Württemberg here. Now their allies are Austria as well, and Westphalia, so you don't really want to be stepping on any toes there. What about Hanover, I wonder, which is in the north there? Look at their allies, Great Britain and Westphalia. So pretty much you're looking at most of these regions here. What about, yeah, Westphalia is going to have that. Most of these single city-states are going to be allied with already pretty potent foes. You don't want to stir a hornet's nest coming your way. Personally, I would leave the west alone. You do have Saxony here. Now let's have a look at Saxony. They've got no allies at all, but they're protected of Poland. But Poland is way off here. Poland is not going to be able to reach you because Austria stands in the way. So if we have a look at Poland, they're at war here with the Bavaria states in there, but they've got allies of Prussia and Denmark. Personally, if I was going to expand, I would either hit Dresden, knowing that Poland is still way off being able to do anything against us. So that would be one potential place to go. We could even move down here, through the mountains here, into Venice. Now Venice would be an absolute coup de grace. It really would be an absolute wonder. And they've got no allies at all, but they're trade partners with Austrian Ottomans. Now this would give you not only sort of an anchor here to your sort of to the south of you, it would give you a coach in, it would give you additional income of craft workshop and also vineyards, but crucially a trading port here. You would have access to the Adriatic Sea. Not only the Adriatic Sea, it also give you access ultimately to the Mediterranean, and that is going to bring in a huge amount of money for you eventually over trade. That is a absolutely phenomenal place. So personally, if it was me, I would definitely look to take Venice out. I know that Venice also have Patras here, so it might give you a little bit of trouble in the future. But if you were to take Venice out and sort of, have these two regions already simultaneously, working together, of course you'd have to go across Austria, but you're allied with Austria, so you can go across their land, as it were. That would give you already a foothold here, a trading port. You're able to then start trading, probably with the Ottoman Empire. Possibly with Spain as well, probably because you're allied with Spain, so they're bound to give you something. A trade agreement. So again, that's going to really bring a lot of income here. So that would be my main advice. And also your potential enemies are going to be Poland, Prussia, possibly the Dutch. If the Dutch take Brussels, the Dutch could possibly be quite a formidable enemy. They're unfriendly with us, so yes, the chances are the Dutch, if they start expanding, they're going to be looking your way, especially if they start taking most of these areas here. That's going to be really potent here. But again, the world is your oyster here. If you do this right, if you get that fine balance between economy and military, if you expand, and look to see where you can take regions that don't have any allies, that aren't sort of going to be a really difficult fight to start with. If you strike hard and fast and quickly, but also plan for, not maybe an under-protracted siege wherever you're going to attack, then I think, my friends, you can really expand. Personally, I'd go for Venice and expand outwards from there, maybe even taking the Italian states and bringing Rome under your control as well. The Italian states, I believe, no allies either. So again, if you play your cards right, if you do it right, if you meticulously plan, you could potentially take out a good chunk of Italy and bring it under Bavarian control straight away. But my friends, I'm going to leave this episode here, this Nation's Guide, where it is, because we explained the basics, I explained where potential enemies are, but ultimately, that journey to take is yours, my friend. That is where, you sort of learn your craft, learn your trade is on the battlefield here, and what you might do with it. Please let me know if you've already played Bavaria before. Let me know how you went with that campaign. If you have, please put it in the comments. Let me know what happens. If you haven't, maybe you've got some suggestions where you might be able to strike and maybe not. Please let me know, my friends. And one day we might play Bavaria and really have a go at that and see what it's like, because it does look a very good campaign indeed. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please, my friends, please keep your comments coming down below. They've been absolutely fantastic in all the campaigns. British campaign is up next after this goes up as well, so I'm going to record a British campaign. But until next time, my friends, bye for now.